just shut up and let me enjoy this pain.
Welcome to the pain zone. It's where we live.
When I'm hurt, I love it. I love that feeling because it's real.
You need to love pain.
Be the guy who embraces the ugly, the miserable. Be the guy who embraces hard work, the grind. Don't be afraid of being hurt. Don't be afraid to sacrifice some blood.
Everything else, happiness could be fake, crying could be fake, but pain? Shit. That's real.
However, mentally, physically, love it. You need to love it. If not, stay where you are.
Hey, I'm a Mexican. No one believed me when I told them wait in the waving, so I gotta flex again. I wanna have no one around me that's flooding, so keep me away from that pessimist. They told me I signal new top, new floor at dinner, I'm checking the decks again. And I got hard like I'm rich and my money is wizard and I am a testament. Wonder how big is the picture, how deep is the mission, I give you an estimate. And how long you been, I ain't stacking a hex on the chain, I am a veteran. I'm betting on hex again. 555, money on log and I'm about to retire. All of this digital money I wired, brand new tuxedo, it cannot be earned. All of this money I made so far, I go get my mama a brand new car. Hop from the moon to a brand new star.
G'day everybody and welcome to the Crypto Happy Hour. G'day to my old mates True Blue and Fast Abdul. What is up? What is up?
Sup? What's happening, guys?
I'm here for the tech.
Hell
here
yeah.
for the tech. That's it. I'm
It's
here
only
for the roller coaster ride and the snacks.
That's it. Bloody
it's been pretty hectic, man. This last week or so, we've had some serious market crash. And just people just panicking, just losing their minds.
Yep,
so
indeed.
Depends who you listen to, though, right? Like, I think hexagons are just like, yeah, whatever. We've seen this before, but there's a lot of
we're just numb now.
Yeah, that's right. We're just numb to the pain. But then there's a lot of people out there that in crypto that haven't experienced this kind of volatility, and they're just, it's over, it's time to panic, and they're just, 4-year cycle wrecked, and it's like, just zoom out a tad, bro, and just put your knickers back on and just settle down.
I think it's kind of funny that everybody's freaking out about, like, oh no, Bitcoin's $80,000, right? Or almost 82 at the moment, like,
yeah,
it's like, it's a lot, right? Like, go back not that long and it was $15,000. Is it really that sad?
Exactly. Yeah. And if you look at those sort of numbers, you kind of think, well, if it goes back to 92K or something next week, was all of that, panic really worth it if it were just back to 92 as support? I mean, even if it went down, I remember I think it was the Japanese carry trade sort of shock, and it went down, and I remember buying some BTC just below 50K, and that wasn't that long ago, right? That was like the end of last year, but it was like 49K, and it just seems like people are, I don't know, calling it over a bit prematurely.
Yeah, buying at 50K and it's still at 82, I think you did okay, right? Like,
yeah, except that I eventually aped it all into Hex, so which is gone. So, yeah.
As one does.
But yeah, in terms of like from fiat to BTC, and then I'd have to see whether I'm underwater on that or not. Just want to say hello to the chat. And what is up? Mexican Lost in Asia. Let's go. Crypto Class. The girls are having a stream tomorrow. So check out Crypto Class's channel.
Definitely, including Fast Abdullah here.
Yeah, the girls, including Fast Abdul.
Yeah.
There you go. The token man. You've made your way around the traps this week.
Yeah, well, this week and the week before that, and the week before that, and the week before that. But I was just in Vegas. And I actually got to meet some of these girls, so that was great.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, because you've just come off the conference in Vegas. Yeah, tell us about that.
It was pretty awesome. It was my second crypto meetup ever. In January, I did the no permissions trip to Panama, and so this was the first sort of Hex PulseChain meetup that I've ever been to that wasn't a part of a private group, and it was cool. I got to meet obviously all the people you see on TV, which is cool. Like kind of the people I talk to all the time, like on the screen, but when you see them in person, it's different. And then more importantly, I got to meet some of the actual like community members who aren't like regular streamers, right? So it's like, and then you put names to faces because you interact with people, but never with a face, right? It's just like it's on Telegram, it's on Twitter, and it's like, oh, you're Ryan, like that kind of thing, right? Which is cool. And there were no disappointments. Everybody was, very amicable. Everybody was having a good time. Everybody was happy to see each other. It was definitely a positive thing overall, in my opinion.
Awesome.
So
awesome,
good.
Bro.
It seems like watching the community come together like that, like in a big way, lots of people all joining together is just so awesome. And it gives me, even though like I'm not there, and I probably speak for others in the community, like it gives everyone good feelings just seeing the vibe, and then that stream, legendary stream with DCC and you guys all together, RH Max and whatnot. That was just full of good vibes again, and a good reminder of, the community, how powerful we would be working together and actually butting heads regularly. And I've seen that sort of little shift like in the past week or whatever, a few days since that stream. And I just hope that momentum can stay there because it's it's really positive. So yeah, great work to all of you.
That stream was great. We really liked that one. We talked about like how like the PulseChain makes influencers like no other chain, right? So it's like if we can help each other out, it especially in this season when we're on the edge of greatness, so to speak, it's super important.
Yes. Yeah. I'm glad you guys brought that up, man, because I watched that stream and I really enjoyed it. And I thought it really made me think about how Discourse Syndicate had all these streamers on and it really pumped them up. And it was like such an amazing thing to be able to be on Discourse Syndicate. It was like, and then so the Hex Late show and it just, the cross collaboration between the streamers was awesome. And so in the spirit of that, I've just sent Money Gang Crypto an invite in the background.
Beautiful.
There.
Nice.
So hopefully Money Gang, because I just saw he was in the chat there. Good morning, or evening, wherever you are, or midday. But yeah, obviously we want to have as many people on as possible. Sort of see if we can pump up the people. I mean, Money Gang's obviously a big time influencer, I guess, and same as DCC. So we've been following these guys for a long time. So for them to come on at like a smaller channel like us, it's like it helps pump up our numbers, but it also, I guess, it introduces them to maybe some of our audience that might not be aware of them, maybe. But yeah, there's an interesting clip here I thought from Dollar Cost Crypto. Just I can pull this up.
Yeah.
If you let me know if you can hear it. I had some problems with StreamYard last week because they've just done a bunch of changes. So yeah, maybe just let me know if you can hear it.
There's a study that I always bring up for Fidelity, right? There's a really important study for Fidelity. What happens is this: the most successful traders, the most successful investors in all of Fidelity are people who died. So let me explain. So they say the highest returns that people usually get is usually in portfolios and stuff like that is usually people who've died who nobody knows they've died yet. So they're on. So what happens is somebody dies. they don't move their assets. They keep it there for a long time, and then like, oh wow, these guys are in massive returns. And why is that? Because they've left and hodled over for a long period of time. So one of the biggest things that happened is a lot of people, like a lot of you guys right now, are pretty rich in crypto right now. It doesn't feel like it, but imagine Ethereum is still around or Hex is still around in the next 5-10 years, and you just left your tokens alone. You came back after a long time. What would end up happening is you'd be very wealthy. You would have a lot of money. It's very possible in 5 years, Ethereum could be $25,000 plus. There's a study that I was.
Yeah. So that,
nice.
That's one thing to think about, isn't it? It just have a bit of a more of a long-term time frame to think about some of these things.
Yeah. In the words of dollar cost crypto, sheesh. Look at that, 25 grand ETH. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 5 years is a long time, man. Like crypto is in this sort of accelerated timeline where it just seems like there's so much going on, but markets move slow. So, you know, when you look at the M2 money supply, you know, getting printed, and also like in China, the money supply has been going up. They talk about lags, and there might be a 90-day lag, a 45-day lag. There's a lot of time between when the liquidity actually hits the markets and when things happen. So we might see some of this stuff take place in the future, but we always would have want that, you know, instant turnaround. But it's just not the way that, because these things are huge economic energy. They have like an economic inertia.
Indeed, definitely.
What is up? Just regular bull today. I was going to say golden bull, but
what's going on, guys? What's going on?
Hey.
Oh yeah, just a bit of Friday afternoon cope, as we like to do.
Weekly cope session right now.
That's right.
I understand. It's look, it's all about framing. It's either a good thing and you're buying more, or it's a terrible thing because you've finished buying. In which case, you should probably buy some more.
You can always buy more. Yeah,
That's
you can always lower your cost basis. Yeah, there's many ways to do it, but you just got to grind, man. Like sometimes, and like that video at the start where it was like, you know, embrace the pain, embrace the working ethic. Like these athletes that are at the top of their game, people think that they're just naturals and stuff, that John Jones just turned up, but it's like they would have had to bleed in the gym. And, you know, Olympic athletes, all these guys, they worked their asses off to get where they had to do. So,
oh yeah, they sacrificed a lot to be professional athletes, especially the Olympic guys. And there's no real payoff, right? Like, you know, how much do retired ski jumpers make, right? Like, it's not for most of them, it's not a money making endeavor.
Yeah. The other thing is
ACLs and everything.
Yeah, and the portion of them that actually make it, like, you know, they're like in the 1% that actually make it, and just below them is like hundreds or thousands that didn't make it to that level. You know, it's just they're right on the verge of it. So yeah,
totally.
Full on.
And like, you don't always win. Like, who can tell me who came, you know, second in the shot put contest last year at the Olympics, right? Like, or who came in third in the long jump, right? Like, nobody knows, but they still put in almost the same effort, possibly more effort than the guy who came in first. It's you know, you don't have a sport without multiple players. So, you know, shout out to my opponents that I beat because I couldn't have done it without them, kind of thing, right?
Nice,
absolutely,
nice work. Yeah,
hey, I just want to say, I got a chance to meet True Blue yesterday.
There you go.
Hell yeah!
In person. It was we had the most expensive glass of ginger beer I've ever had in my life.
You shouted it, mate. You shouted it. Look at that.
Well, mate, I wouldn't have shouted it if I'd known it was so expensive. We're in
that's a bear market.
We're in a public bar, and the guy goes, because I gave him a 50, and he goes, "Oh yeah, 33," and I thought $33 change. Okay, yeah, all right, that's not too bad, dude. He comes back with like $16.50.
Bro, when was the last time you were in a pub, man? That's probably just about right.
Did you say you had a ginger ale?
Yeah, I suppose ginger ale.
A ginger beer, yeah.
Okay, and is that the same thing for you that it is for me? Like, to me, that's pop, right? Like,
yeah.
This is alcohol. This is alcoholic, but you can get a non-alcoholic version of it.
Right.
If you want. But this is alcoholic.
Like just on the shelf at at the convenience store as pop, right? It's it's almost never. I think I've maybe had a ginger beer before, like you're talking, but like not a regular thing.
Yeah.
Was it like a Matzo's?
Something like that. Those ones that you're calling pop, Fast Abdul, I'd like to mix that with some rum and lime,
Oh, sure.
Something like that. But yeah. But no, it was brilliant. And then I got the best end of the deal because I got the 2 specials for us, and it was only $5 more than the 2 drinks. So we had a bloody good time. It was great.
Nice.
And how many hex was this? How many? This is what I want to know.
So I'm complaining, but True Blue ended up spending more than I did. So I shouldn't be complaining. It's just that ginger beer was so bloody expensive. It shocked me.
Bro,
it shocked me, mate.
Shit I've ever heard. Like, this is you guys need to just be getting your bull market vibes on. Go full bull tard, and just be not counting the. You just come home and you go, I thought I had more money than this, and you go, well.
That was me on Saturday night. That was me on Saturday.
Yeah, when you go, how much did I spend? Jesus, that can't be right.
Yeah, it was pretty cool though. The first time I've ever got in another person's car, and then the automatic, like the Bluetooth connects automatically, and then you hear Matty Allen streaming, and it's like, oh, that was sick. Just like you hear, normally the radio comes on, and it's like Matty Allen's voice. I'm like, wow, it's a bit surreal. So
that's
funny. I think it was possibly Fast Abdul. You were possibly on the stream I was listening to, because I was listening to the one that you guys did as a big group with Dollar Cost Crypto,
right?
Okay, and those guys.
Yep.
Yeah, we were just saying that was an epic stream, and I really liked that spirit of the cross collaboration. Yeah,
I was actually quite thrilled to get invited to that one, to tell you the truth. That Dollar Cost Crypto and Cultivate Crypto, like Miguel and Charlie, those are the 2 guys that were highest on my streaming list for people I'd never streamed with on PulseChain, which is starting to be a very short list. So I was like, oh, sweet. It was my first time meeting those guys as well as being on the stream.
I hit up DCC in the comments and said, you're welcome to come on the Aussie Happy Hour. And he said, DM me. So I need to tee that up. But I've just been busy. But hopefully we can get him on. Yeah, that would be awesome.
It's a hard time. It's a hard time.
Shout out as well.
Yeah, but it's a hard time for those guys because it's super early in the morning.
Of course,
I would think it would be tough for them.
Well, we can bring the stream forward, like in the day, if need be. Yeah, if that to accommodate them.
We'd probably have to do it later in the evening.
Oh,
they're in Las Vegas, right?
We can suss it out.
Hey, just quickly while we're on the topic of meeting up with hexagons and stuff, UOGs have been treating me very well, because I even got shouted lunch by Sammy Chica as well. So shout out to Sammy. It was bloody good time, and we got to have some lunch and talk some crypto. So it's good to just meet up with people in the real world. It's good.
Awesome. Yeah, Sammy's a legend. Cool. Yeah, that's wicked. And what is up?
I want to ask you guys about something. I bought something that was an Australian product made in Australia yesterday, and I want to see if it's normal for you guys, because I wouldn't see very many things that are made in Australia and shipped to Canada that are food, right? Like that's not normal. It was, sorry, what's your guess?
It wasn't quokkas, was it?
Quokkas? No.
I think so.
They wouldn't survive. They wouldn't survive the journey, I don't think.
Are quackers some type of insect that you consume, or what are they?
They're a happy insect. Animal, a marsupial.
Okay, of course, yes.
I can show. I tried to do this last week, but I had issues with StreamYard. But yeah, there's these guys.
Oh, like wallabies? Is that what?
Yeah, they're like tiny wallabies. They're just like marsupials, but they're particularly in the island of Rottnest, where I was the other week, and they try and eat all your food, and they come hang out with you.
They look
So
pretty cute.
they're lots of fun.
Do you actually eat them, or is that not a thing?
No. They're like
Yeah, okay.
endangered, like protected.
Ah,
But
fair enough.
my guess was Tim Tams. Sorry to interrupt. Was it Tim
Tim
Tams?
What is a Tim Tam?
Oh, it's just like a chocolate biscuit.
Nope,
But they're,
not a
like,
Tim Tam.
famous. No, okay.
Chuggy
Mr.
Bicky.
Mr. Bull, do you have a guess?
Vegemite.
Vegemite. Yeah.
Not Vegemite. That's not in the grocery stores here. You'd have to really look for it. I think you could get it, but it's not. Maybe in a big grocery store with a specialty aisle, you might be able to find it. But it's not popular here. I'm not sure why.
All good. I went.
It was actually licorice, Australian licorice.
Oh, Daryl Lee, maybe, or
Oh, nice.
Could be. I can't remember the brand, but it was and it's not as over the last 10 years. It's actually been quite common that they're selling Australian licorice in the gas station, right? Like in the convenience store. So it's the candy that I see the most from Australia fairly regularly. You could probably find it any given day. Is that a big thing in Australia? You guys sitting around eating licorice?
not really. I don't really. Not a huge fan of licorice, really, but
I'm a fan of aniseed. I like aniseed. We got some fennel plants, like wild fennel plants that grow in my backyard, and every now and then I go at the back and just rip one out and just chew on it.
Okay.
Yeah, this was proper
natural
black
aniseed.
licorice, so it had that flavor, like the aniseed flavor.
For sure, yeah. The Daryl Lee brand is like a pretty big brand here, but yeah, I don't, it's the most popular type of licorice, I guess, that we sell, but I don't think it's, like a big Australian tradition or anything like that. But it is good stuff. I like the chocolate bullets. They make licorice, chocolate coated licorice inside. Pretty good.
Oh, that sounds okay.
There you go.
Amazing.
Well, thanks
It's very much an old man sweet, I think.
Yeah, that's what I buy my dad for Father's Day. That type of thing. So yeah, you might not checking your age fast, Abdul, but yeah, maybe close.
Yeah.
Harsh. That's a bit rough.
That we're closer than you think, but it could be possible.
Nothing like a bit of aniseed and a pair of socks.
That's right. Socks with sandals. When you got socks on your thongs, that's when you know you're old.
That sounds terrible.
Well, because thongs is like standard attire, but in winter, it's like winter thongs is just basically just with socks.
Yeah,
you wouldn't
flip
leave the house like that.
Fast, Abdul. We're not talking real thongs with socks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, we got to 100 viewers really quick this time. So
talking about licorice, good stuff.
And we're just spinning our wheels about thongs and stuff. But okay, cool. Welcome to the 100 viewers. Apparently, we have, or maybe a lot of them are through Fast Abdul's Twitter. It seems
I did some sharing in about 37 Telegram rooms and to Twitter. So
okay, appreciate that.
A couple people.
What is up, Bit Finesse here? $4 million doubles the price of Hex. $500,000 doubles the price of Legacy Hex. Something like that. Yeah. So low liquidity, price is a little bit wrecked at the moment, or there's a lot of volatility, but it doesn't actually take much to pump the price. Only 4 milli. So you would have that in the couch cushions. Fast Abdul.
Oh, chances are, yeah. But I'm counting that other players are probably going to do that. Like Richard made it that way on purpose, right? Like he reduced the ink inflation so that people would pull the liquidity, so that it would be easier to pump.
What is up, Coexistence Stephen? I've come to Crypto to learn about tech in the right stream. We should get him on as well. If we can send him the link, if anyone can.
I have him on file.
Okay, yeah. Get him in here. But yeah, we do tend to talk about all sorts of things around here. What is going on? Condor Man. Watching and catching up. Mayo. Oh, Mayo's actually down here. I didn't even see him. Mayo, what's going on?
Oh, wait.
I just saw you down the bottom.
What's
going on, Mayo?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. How you been?
Yeah, good. Blood out. Luckily, to drinking.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jeez, okay.
Leaving house, working. Jumping on board the old political train with old Clive Palmer. See how that goes.
Gee, I voted Libertarian last week in our state election, but didn't work out too well for us. But anyway, I don't want to.
What happened over there? I missed that development.
Labor got in again, so.
Oh, right.
It's not
was
quite
that
as
a
bad
surprise, or was that the expectation?
It's just like no one seems to care about freedoms in Australia. Is what it boils down to, like freedom of speech. Any of the things that you would think would be standard, human rights. They don't seem to care about that stuff. So. Yeah.
Imagine you guys had an election and Justin Trudeau got back in. If that's what it's like.
Seems unlikely, but yeah, I'm with you.
What is up, Tom? Tom Gillespie. G'day, mate. How you going? Yeah, we got a few legends in the chat.
You're in WA, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Wasn't there a big spiel about the ballots turning people away because they couldn't let enough people in or something?
Not sure. I did an early vote because I just couldn't be bothered doing it on the day. But I was a bit spewing that I missed out on the freedom sausage, like the sausage sizzle. That's the only thing I look forward to on the day. Is getting a good snag.
The deep state sausage.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah. You feel complicit, and then we will reward you with a sausage sizzle. But I was like, "Fuck all that noise! I'm just going to."
Really, it's not in your mouth hole.
Ooh,
it's what they're going to do to you later once they're voted in.
Okay, we can make a few jokes about that. But yeah, not quite as good as the Bunnings snags, I will say.
At least you can get onions now at Bunnings again after that mishap of someone sleeping over.
That was ridiculous.
To put the onions at the bottom.
Yeah. You probably don't know about this, but at our
I have
hardware
no idea what you guys are talking about.
Our major hardware store here, it's called Bunnings, and they do sausage sizzle, like sausages in bread out the front. And they were doing onions with it. So, Aussie thing, you have your fried sausage and your onions. And yeah, somebody dropped an onion in the store and somebody slipped on it. And so Australia-wide, they had to stop doing onions with their sausage sizzle because one person slipped on it.
Health and safety issue, mate.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. Yeah.
Like the old banana peel in Mario Kart.
Pretty much.
In regards to Richard's tweet about someone just needs to light a match, who are we nominating?
Yeah. So I guess the thing with that was that he was saying that we've got the low liquidity, we've got the pump tires, we've got all of the things that Ethereum has, but cheaper and faster, and then so it's just like a Tinder keg, sort of waiting for waiting for a match. Like, so yeah, I think it's all there, but maybe I think it's the money supply. I think really it seems like Trump is doing his best to drop the strength of the USD, and we can have a look at that as well. Just on the Dixie, it seems like it's been crashing pretty hard. Hopefully you guys can see that since January. So yeah, normally with the strength of the US dollar going down, you see stocks perform, but we haven't really seen that. Like the S&P 500 has been crashing, and then of course BTC and all the other ones as well. So yeah, I think, but that's the game plan, right? Is to have the strength of the US dollar down so that their exports, the US exports, become cheaper. So then it encourages manufacturing in the US. But this is like a slow moving process, I guess. I just noticed I got Money Gang down here. Money Gang, what is up,
How's
bro?
it going, man? What's up, guys?
Nice to
I think
meet
it's
you,
the
man.
first, man. Australian stream, I guess.
Yeah, Awesome.
Hopefully
Yeah, it's a
you can
first for
understand
sure.
us. Yeah, thanks for joining.
Thanks for coming on with the time zones and
Appreciate it,
everything.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm actually closer to your guys' time zones than probably a lot of people think. I'm over in Thailand right now, so I'm just over in Phuket.
Sweet.
And enjoying myself down there. So yeah,
cool, man. I'll have to have you on more often. That's wicked.
Appreciate it, man.
What
How
do
are
you,
you guys?
yeah, pretty good. I was just going to ask about what your thoughts on this, the way that the Dixie's been going down, but like the S&P 500 has been going down, and then all crypto's been going down. Do you think that Trump's got some sort of plan in place? Do you think we're going to, turn this ship around and start to pump at some point?
Yeah, I've always kind of been a believer that the cycle follows the cycle. Every single cycle they say the 4-year cycle is over, this, that, and the other. And from my analysis is that it just extends, right? Like the cycles tend to extend if you go from, bottom to bottom or top to top. So I look at it and I'm just like, there was a really good, I'll send the status to you because I think it'd be good to bring this up on stream if you're cool with it. I'll put it in the private chat. But I think it's quite obvious that Trump is causing this, well, not exclusively him, but there's a push to try and bring down and refinance the $9 trillion worth of US debt. And trying to lower those rates down and kind of force the Fed's hand when it comes to the upcoming rate cuts. So I just have seen this kind of market manipulation happen. I think the biggest one was when Trump had he had tweeted that there was going to be a strategic reserve. And then the following day he goes, oh yeah, but the reserve is only going to be like, the confiscated cryptos basically. So, so I was like, I see what you're doing. I was like, this is manipulation to its finest degree. And I'm like, people who have been through multiple cycles will know the kind of feeling and the sentiment and what actually happens during that euphoria stage. Now, a lot of people are quick to say, okay, this is a top signal, or this feels like a top signal. Oh, look, the Coinbase rank is like 12, on the Play Store or the Apple Store. But I only had maybe one person that I know of who knows that I'm in crypto, who's like a normie, who had a bit of extra money to go buy into the crypto markets. So I didn't have that, like 15 messages about it. I didn't have people talking about it. I didn't see it all over the news, where I was locally. I didn't see people going super, super crazy. Now, there was a lot of people jumping in on the memes, but even the Solana memes, if you think about it, yes, there was some stuff that was popping off, but Solana only just peaked above its top, like literally just kind of touched it and went slightly above for like a day. And then that was when Pump Fund decided to stop the live stream feature on Pump Fund. So all of this kind of to say really that I haven't seen euphoria. And I've always had the belief that if you can't remortgage your house at a cheap rate, and I remember people in 21 remortgaging their house to buy crypto, or taking out loans to buy crypto. If it's not cheap to do so, if there's not a cheap line of credit and it's not available around the world, I'm not just specifically talking about the US here, then it's a sign that I think there's not an access to global liquidity easily, and therefore people haven't got disposable income to put it into meme coins or any coin for that matter, any form of speculation. So yeah, I've always had that belief. I've been like, right, the Fed are going to need to do stimulus. And I think that will be coming in the next part of next year and probably into 2026. Oh, wow. And yeah, I believe that we'll get 3 rate cuts this year, but it will probably be to the back end of of this year and then into 2026. Because if you look at the predictions of like the rate cuts that will happen, there's more rate cuts probably to come in 26. But a lot of people don't like that because everyone was so invested in the left translated cycle this cycle because of the top that happened pre the halving. So everyone was like, oh, Bob Lucas, who's seen as an absolute guru, and his information is kind of like the media, right? Like it's like someone says a certain opinion, and then it just ends up going to the major influencers or major streamers, and everyone just catches on to the same idea. It's like the idea is planted, and then it just sprinkles down, and then goes to bigger influencers, and then everyone else in the kind of sub ecosystem starts adopting it. But really, it's just one individual who's had that idea and just put it out there. Bob Lucas had said, okay, this could happen. This could be a left translated cycle, but these things would have to happen. And then people just took it as, oh, it is a left translated cycle. Top's going to be in March 2025. And, you know, everyone's kind of eating their words now. So,
yeah, I mean, I think we were pretty firm in the camp of not being a left translated cycle. And we sort of thought that even though we hit that BTC all-time high early, that it might just grind sideways and then we still sort of take off at that 3-year mark, which it pretty much did. But then that still puts the peak to be in sort of November this year. Well, then does that create like a double top effectively? I mean, we had a double top last cycle. Do you think it'll just be like that? Like maybe just a bit more spacing between the tops?
Yeah. Well, I guess we could even say that we would be on the, I don't know how people count it, but this could be like 4 tops essentially.
Oh, wow.
Because if you actually, well, if you think about it, right, like back in that run up in March 24, that was the run up to 73K. Then it went downwards and sideways. And then it didn't peak until November. November, you had that run up until mid to late December, where it went up to 108-ish, dropped down, and then went up to 109. So, you know, some people were like, oh, yeah, it's a triple top. It made a newer high, which, again, it might just be like a retest that's gone up above its top there. But yeah, like if you're looking at it, I guess I would say, yeah, it would be like 3 tops. But I think Axis, and me and Axis had talked about this a while back, and I think he's quite right that when institutional money comes in, the manipulation of the market suddenly starts to look, especially the big products that are under the ETF, because this is an ETF cycle. Meme and ETF cycle, but I would say most of the majority of big monies come through via the ETFs, that you probably would see Bitcoin go on to do something similar to the S&P, where you do get dips on the S&P, but it's kind of up and to the right for a long period of time. You know, it's manipulated at certain points, but it's more extended out.
So this is like a 30% retracement, really, and this is on the weekly. But, right. That's pretty standard for BTC, really, when you zoom out. And I think if you look at it on the monthly, it doesn't look anywhere near as bad.
Well, the concern that people are having is you'll see there's 2 months in a row. Obviously, the month hasn't closed just yet, but the 2 red candles in a row. And when you look back at the dips, like the COVID dip, and for example, the end of the 21 run, like those 2 to 3 candles were the signifier of the end of the cycle back in 2021. So a lot of people get concerned around that.
I see what you're saying.
See what I'm saying? So what that drop off was kind of like, and there was a retest, obviously. But again, you know, going back to what you said, right? A 30% dip, that COVID dip, which actually I do think Richard was probably responsible for a lot of that, because he called the top on that 65K. You know, you don't call the top unless you're shorting and selling the heck out of it. But that went down 56%, I believe it was. That was like fascinating to see. And you know, people are like worrying about it now. It's like, well, if you go on your BTC chart, go have a look at what a 56% dip would be. That's like into, I want to say 60K-ish mark, maybe even below that, from that top of 109 that we recently just had. Let me just have a look exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
50% drop would be 54K.
Right. So, I mean, there's a 60% drop there for, I think that was the COVID dip. But even with this double top, if you're looking on the monthly, that was a 56% drop. And that was in sort of June. And that was the first of the double tops. I guess you could say that's like a Head and Shoulders or whatever. But I just think people maybe are just a bit premature with the whole it's over. But yeah, interesting to hear your thoughts. Thanks for that, man.
Yeah, it's for me, it's kind of exciting because I know that a lot of people are going to get shaken out. Obviously, people would just, you'd think that this corner of the world and investments would have more headstrong individuals, but they're so emotionally tied to it.
Well,
like I never realized how emotionally unhinged people can get, particularly guys who are a little bit older. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it is crazy, and particularly in maybe other coins that not hexagons, because hexagons have seen some mad dumps.
Yeah,
but maybe the Solana guys, I think they had a bit of complacency going on. And I mean, you were saying that, I think Somi has also said, that normally the bull run it dies on euphoria, and that we haven't had that euphoria. That's a good point. There's just not, I remember in previous cycles, it's that point where everyone thinks that they're going to quit their job.
Mm-hmm.
When they're literally like about to go in and just tell their boss to get fucked, and they're just like, I can earn more money just in yield on in some LP than my wage. Why would I bother working? And it's that kind of mentality where you're just literally every day thinking about quitting. But I don't think we've had that.
No, definitely not. Every day I'm thinking about getting my job back.
Yeah, everyone's thinking
every day
about.
I'm thinking about signing up to McDonald's, bro.
Yeah. And there's also there's quite a few other indicators as well. Like, there's the price cycle top indicator. That's basically my favorite. So I'm just sort of waiting for these to converge before I even contemplate selling. So it's just wait it out. Like, you think it's going to go higher, then just wait. And we had a bit of a thing at the start with DCC, and he was saying that the guys who perform the best are the ones that have actually just died, like on these platforms, and then they've just inadvertently hodled for many, many years, and they outperform the ones that just trade and trade and trade. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see kind of how far we might go. I mean, we're just kind of holding up at this 80K mark. Ethereum obviously is in the shitter.
Ethereum's wrecked. Like,
no one would have thought that. Well, maybe some people, but I think if you go back to 21, everything was being done on Ethereum. It didn't seem like it was going to go down 75% versus Bitcoin, and then.
Yeah, look, I blame Vitalik. I mean, ever since he got a girlfriend, and also, how he was dumping all those meme coins that got sent to him.
That's right.
Do you ever wonder if that maybe inadvertently dragged the price of ETH down as well? Because everything's pooled with ETH, and then he's just dumping like billions of dollars of these tokens that are sent to him that are pooled in ETH, and then it's just killing meme coin communities on his own chain. It's like, I'm not sure that was the best thing for him to do.
And prioritizing L2s as well. I just always found that so weird. Like, base has really taken off, and shout out to Brian Armstrong. He comes off as a really good dude, but at the same time, you shouldn't. That's like your backup plan. That's not like plan A, right? Like, that shouldn't be. You should be thinking about your throughput, and you should be thinking about making the network quicker and cheaper. That's what you should be thinking about, so that people play around on it. You want that volume. ZZ's done that as well recently. Like, he's actually trying to get more meme coins going. He's even considered Kanye West doing a coin on Binance, But he knows, he's seeing what's happened, because even Justin Sun did it for that small season where he was able to actually vampire attack Solana and make his own Pump Sun or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And Richard to a degree now with Pump Tires. So they're kind of reading where the volume is.
Yeah, it's almost like you have different class of investors where you need both, right? You need the institutional stuff, the ETFs, and you need people to price in rate cuts into the future, and then sort of think, okay, and so massive amounts of money. But you need the guys who are just going to come in and just buy meme coins and froth over the latest new thing. So yeah, you kind of need to foster both aspects, the short term and the long term, I guess.
Well, a lot of guys, obviously, there's a lot of hexagons and stuff who will hate it, right? Like, there's always a divide in the community. There's kind of more, we follow the principles of Richard, and we think that's silly, and you should be a long-term holder. But if you do want adoption on the chain, you also have the traders and all the degen stuff. There needs to be the combination on the facilitation of both, because it's like, how are you going to burn your coins anyway? Like, one of the best things that Pump Tires has done is burn Pulse, and Pulse at one point was inflationary, right? Because it copied the model of Ethereum, and Ethereum, it was ETH 2.0. Ethereum actually went from being deflationary to inflationary, and so anything that you can do to make it more deflationary is great. Yeah, okay, people are going to get wrecked on it, but that's up to them. They make their own choice. They're grown adults, they click the buttons. So it's like,
and you've got the buy and burn now as well, because when they pass through Pump Tires, they go through to the V1 pools, I think. So right. Before, I think it was going to V2. So it's burning Pulse, like whatever that 1% is with every trade, but it's also now in the V1, so it's burning PulseX.
I mean, look at PulseX now. We're nearly at 7% of the supply burn. Like, in what we're coming up to the 2-year mark. That's pretty damn insane.
PulseX is a bit of a sleeper, isn't it? Because everyone sort of ragged on it because it was priced initially in terms of SAC 1-to-1 with Pulse, but then when it came out, the market decided that it was worth a third of a Pulse, and then it's just slowly come back to parity. And you think about the yield that Hex is getting. I mean, I'm still like, mad keen on Hex on PulseChain and all that stuff. But yeah, you look at the yield that you get from staking, and then what you get from the farms, and then you think, well, if you're just holding PulseX and it just becomes more scarce over time, maybe that's a good play.
What do you think about the? Be interested to get you guys' thoughts. What do you think about the degens adopting eHex now? Like, to a degree, if you think about, and I don't want to call him a degen, but like the Atropa dev, for example, right? One of the first things he did was he got a huge amount of the supply, and a lot of guys are really bullish on it. Like CoachX, for example, who I think he needs to get more props in the community. One of the founders of PTGC and one of the guys behind X Token and Mav and that kind of ecosystem. Those guys love eHex, and I'm completely the opposite. I'm friends with them, but I'm like, nah, I don't like that. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what you guys' thoughts are on that.
I'll put it over to 43 or Fast or Mayo. Any of you guys, what do you think?
I think the eHex narrative is, its time has come, right? Like, if you look at how depressed the price is compared to PHEX, like, it's certainly, like, it's not like it's caught up or something, right?
No,
there's still a significant difference in the price. And then you have that liquidity gap that means that a couple big players can pump it really, really easy. So, I don't think it means it's going to go to parity. I honestly don't think it will, but like, it's never going to go to zero. It's going to always have value. And with the cheap ETH fees, like, gas wise, it actually makes a lot more sense than it did, 8 months ago.
You think
I can see
the eHex? Oh, you go, Tribly.
Go. No, it's all right, mate. Go.
I was thinking more for the smaller fish, or I don't know, people that don't know as much. Do you think eHex is more attractive because it's easier to access rather than accessing through bridges and other protocols?
Yeah, that's sort of my thought.
Good point.
It's like, is it like the onboarding or the easy way, especially when they see the prices pump? That's the easiest hex to get to. But then the only real benefit I see with that, then moving over to PulseChain, because that's where you want to go eventually to actually use the utility of hex. Well, we hope that the gas fees are going to be better than Ethereum for a long time. But yeah, I wonder if there's any way that they can work together. Like, is there any, interoperability between the two, or some sort of crazy cross-chain thing that can be done at some stage, or anything like that if it does go to parity? Or
Johnny Chaos had an interesting, idea in relation to that. he said this many times that he thought that the OA could pair the two in some way. That's an interesting idea. I mean, it never happened, but it could happen in future. It could always happen, something like that, where Hex is paired by the OA, and there's just so much liquidity there that it can never really be pushed out of that ratio.
So I think Money Gang originally was saying, what do we think about it, the EHEX, in terms of the degens getting, being bullish on it, the Atropo guys and things like that. In terms of that aspect, I'd be interested to see what Jexa thinks, because he's just popped out. What's up, Jexa?
How's it going, guys? You got a full house today.
Yeah.
That's good.
Awesome. Big lineup.
Yeah, in terms of the EHEX parity thing.
Yeah, just a random question, but yeah. What do you think about in terms of the degen sort of embracing it, like specifically the Atropa guys having a big bag of EHEX and maybe the ease of onboard, or I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think we've seen the price pumped outside of what was going on PulseChain the other day, maybe because the news dropped on about RH, and there was probably people that don't give a shit about PulseChain that just were buying based off the back of that good news, and the only thing they relate to Richard is Hex on Ethereum. They probably looked at a chart that was pretty low and realized there wasn't much risk in that. So yeah, I think there's people that probably won't bother to bridge over that might play that game.
Yeah, because I mean, it was even in the news. Like I noticed this was in on Cointelegraph, where they just said, Judge tosses fraud suit against Richard Hart, and so even just normies out there might have seen that and just gone, oh, Hex, and then maybe they didn't know that about Hex on PulseChain.
Well, there's a couple of guys that stream and do just TA. What's the guy's name? Is it Mitch or something, or Mitch Ray? So he was doing TA on Hex back in the last cycle and was just playing all the swings, and he had good things to say about it, not because he cares about Richard or Hex, just because he's trading the chart. So he'll call it like it is. But I think he was back on the wagon the other day looking at Hex and checking the chart and things like that. So guys that are just there for the price moves, they don't give a shit about the ecosystem.
Yeah, but if they're buying it, they're still bullish enough to buy it, right? So they are a part of the ecosystem, even if they're not, actively hodling Hex, staking Hex, all the things, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
I think it's worth noting that there's substantially more liquidity for EHEX on PulseChain than there is on Ethereum, from what I can see here.
Yep.
That's what's interesting about the way Hex has kind of changed a little bit this cycle, is the fact that it's become more of a trading token than a staking token. Previously, obviously, and that's deliberate as well, because the founders kind of cut the yields quite significantly, but it's also great for the liquidity games that may happen in terms of, if you were to move a price of a token up, you want to reduce the liquidity down as thin as possible to use as little economic energy to move it. And that to me is exciting. A lot of people aren't bullish on that. I'm like, this is super bullish. Like, there's something being pre-planned, whether that gets executed now or in a year's time, but certainly it's already set up in play. And the next things, or the next stage, is just having certain barriers, like on-ramps, like exchanges, that are already set in motion, set up, prepared, and then boom, game time.
Well, apparently BitMEX was for sale. Did you hear that that rumor that maybe RH was going to be buying BitMEX?
I'd say that's a pretty big rumor.
Just throwing it in there.
What was that new site that Richard posted on Twitter?
That's
I was going to bring that up. That looked
ZK PTP, is that the one? ZK.
Have you guys played around on it or testnet? It's awesome, man.
I went and had a quick look at the UI, but I haven't done a trade or anything like that, or use it in anger. So if I've got this right, you've got to go over the base network initially. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You can use Base, Solana, Polygon, and Ethereum.
I thought you had to hit Base first.
But initially they've done settlement for, I think, Venmo, Cash App, Wise, and Revolut on Base at the moment.
Yeah. Yep.
And so they might incorporate PulseChain, I guess, is where we're going with this, is that you might be able to go from Venmo, Cash App, and then straight onto PulseChain, but in a trustless way, with no KYC.
I think you'd still have to hit Base first, though, is my understanding. I could be wrong.
So you can sign up to it now. Like you can actually go on the website itself, and kind of play around with it, to be honest. But I think they've just preloaded Base at the moment. Let me just check, see if there's any other chains. No, it doesn't look like it. Oh no, you can go Solana, you can go Ethereum, and you can go Sonic and Polygon.
Cool.
It's cool they have Solana on there, because that's like a non-EVM chain. There's not always that on the list, so nice.
I mean,
it looks like a pretty nice UI.
It's got like dirham, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, Chinese yuan, euro, pound, Hong Kong dollar, shekel, Indonesian rupiah, Japanese yen, USD, Canadian.
It'd be nice if they allowed offboarding as well as the onboarding. I think
they do.
That would tie it all together, because.
Sorry, I think that's the P2P portion of it, isn't it? Where you can put up liquidity, so that people can buy into that, and you can then exit that back off your Venmo and all that, is what I thought.
Is that right? Okay, I didn't go that deep with it. I had a look at it but I couldn't see where you could go back to from crypto back to through Revolut or Wise. I didn't see where you could do that, but if that's possible, that's fantastic.
Well, I just saw that Hexologist, shout out to Hexo, said that you could a trustless fiat to crypto protocol using I guess zero knowledge proofs on Base, buy USDC with bank ACH, prove payment privately, no KYC, no fees, sell easily too. So the fact that he had that sell easily, I thought, oh, okay. And then also,
but do they mean just sell a crypto into like something else, or do they mean sell it into your currency and then get it into your your Revolut or
Wise app back to your Cash App or something? Yeah.
So the platform right now, in terms of exiting, I'll give you an example. I'm just on the liquidity side of things here, and I just got TaiBat, for example, and there's like two liquidity pools right now. It's like with TaiBat to USDC and TaiBat to like two separate pools, one with Revolut and one with Wise. But yeah, you can do. I mean, there's not much, obviously, because it's TaiBat, not like USD or something like that. But you can actually add liquidity that way. So you can add fiat liquidity via a couple different payment methods, which is interesting because the APR is pretty high on that as well. So you might get some people putting up LP via fiat, which is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, that's unreal. That brings up an interesting point as well with that the MEXC exchange. Did you see that stream with Panos and Corey Costa the other day?
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
So I was giving MEXC a lot of shit. Basically, I was kind of like last week. I was just kind of saying, these guys have taken money and then in good faith, and then I watched that stream with Panos, and the way he explained it was that there was 120K, and 60K went for the promotion of that integrated and in the integration of PulseChain, and then 60K was actually the liquidity. So they always charge the 60K for the integration, but the 60K of liquidity is not like MEXC's, like the PulseChain Foundation or whatever has the keys to that. So maybe the price of that went down because Pulse went down, but it would have been like 30K originally, stables, 30K Pulse. But then they need to have because then they set up these market makers within that pool to, I guess, set the price, and they get APIs or whatever to maintain the peg. So then it seemed like that the liquidity wallets were empty. So it was like, from what he was saying, it sounded like they needed to add the liquidity back. So originally MEXC had maybe delisted it because of the SEC thing or for whatever reason, but now it's a different issue. It's actually that there's no liquidity in that exchange wallet, but the only people who have access to that liquidity, like the market makers only can trade, but they can't withdraw. So only as far as we know, that the PulseChain Foundation are the guys that have the keys to that. So I thought, okay, maybe I've been giving them a bit of a hard time. I would still prefer maybe if we focused our efforts to get a tier 1 exchange like Kraken and Coinbase or Binance. But yeah, maybe I was a bit too harsh on them last week.
So sorry, my internet connection was just been horrible then. So where's all the liquidity gone then?
That's the big question.
Yeah, look, I don't want to cast aspersions or anything. I don't know. I think the guys put up the money from the foundation. So originally,
is there any verification on that they had the keys to that liquidity?
Yes.
No, this was just from that panel.
From somebody in the foundation.
Yeah. So Panos had spoken directly to the guys who were from MEXC who were dealing with the foundation, and they had specifically said it was I think Coffee and someone else, I've forgotten his name online.
Barchef, I imagine. Marlon
Barchef, that's the one. Yeah. Those two who were handling it. So
it might get resolved. I guess is the thing. If they add that liquidity back or whatever, it could get resolved. So I don't need to. I can take MEXC off my dartboard now. But yeah, I still would prefer obviously Kraken, one of the big ones, Binance, Coinbase. So, but we've been doing a fair effort to tag them on X, and now I think we're doing the same thing with this the zero knowledge peer-to-peer thing. We've also apparently, to get PulseChain integrated, we have to make some noise over at Relay Protocol. So this is a Wild SJ's post, and she was just saying that we need the Relay Protocol guys to help with the integration. So I'm sure we'll do it in time.
That one's actually a better option. It sort of aligns more with our ecosystem's ethos about really just using new exchanges as an on and off ramp, and they seem like they cover a lot of bases because most people in most countries can have access to one of those methods, whether it's Venmo or Revolut or something like that. So I think that's actually pretty handy. What I also just wanted to bring up while we're on this is the Coast guys they're working on something as well. I don't know whether it's going to be working the same way. I think it's the cross-chain bridge stuff is all there from my understanding, from what I've seen on the graphic, but I don't know how they work with Glory to get your funds in there. So hopefully their solution is somewhat similar to that, or they can pivot a little bit and take a leaf out of this book as well.
For sure, man. Yeah, look, the Coast guys, I know they've always been cooking, and they seem to be benevolent in a sense. They have that weight token that they gave out to all the sacrifices, and now I think that they're integrating. Well, it could be just this Tide. I think it's called Tide is the token that they're coming up with. So hopefully they'll, airdrop it to the sacrifice set, because that would be awesome. But yeah, I don't know what they're doing with that.
Not always been a thing.
Tide. They've talked about it for a long time. This is the first.
I thought that was a token already.
I thought maybe it was they were using it to like incentivize, liquidity providing or something like that.
I think what they're talking about doing is launching their own DEX, and I think maybe Tide has something to do with that. But they're not there yet. It's not that is not a live thing, if I'm not mistaken. So, but those guys onboard whales all the time. I kind of wish that Richard would tweet about them instead of something outside of the community. Sometimes he does skip over community projects to talk about other things.
Yeah, what is up the chat as well? There's a few legends here. G'day McNuggets. We got Grumpy Schnauzer. That sounds like a new one.
I've seen
That's
him
a
around.
wicked handle. There you go. And Taurus Table Talk. What is going on? And
I
yeah,
met Taurus in Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you go.
He's a man of many
It
hats.
sounds like okay. Have to check him out on X. And Grumpy Schnauzer, I think, is keen for the ZK P2P. Yeah. So yeah, I think people are keen, and we're active. I mean, this is the thing. The community, we get on board these things. Like it doesn't take much, and everyone just seems like a real good community effort to try and get us listed on exchanges. Now we're back. I mean, EHEX is back on Uniswap and Matcha and things like that. So
we're really killing it on Twitter right now. Like the whole PulseChain community is killing it. Like the number of views that we get, even our smaller influencers are getting like more hits on a post than like guys, general influencers that have 3 times as many followers get. I think it's starting to feels like it's starting to go viral. And I noticed that on my own Twitter, as well as looking at like other bigger influencers that are like pumping the numbers.
And especially with this new spirit of, cross collaboration that, DC and you guys were talking about the other day. I mean, it looks like we're about to break 400 live viewers. So that's like a record for us. So, thanks for you guys for helping out.
Well, that's exactly what it is. Like right now, Money Gang is sharing it, and I'm sharing it on Twitter, right? Like, like obviously there's an effect, right? And it took like, a couple clicks.
That's it. We got 400 live viewers, so that's new all-time high for us.
Let me. Have you got the link as well? I'll just put it in the group chat as well. My group chat.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
I think pretty sure I already get that one, Money Gang.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out as well this Tesseract X. So as far as I know, this is Psy. This is Hex Toys. He's just got a front end to the PulseChain bridge, like the main PulseChain bridge. So it's still 0% bridge fee, and I guess it just points to the IPFS link, and it's just a front end for that. But that might be, quite handy for people who are, I don't know, have overzealous antivirus or don't like clicking on IPFS links.
What's on the buy tab there? Is that crypto or there's other?
Not sure. I haven't actually used it, so maybe I shouldn't give too much credit. But as far as I know, it's just a front end for the standard PulseChain bridge.
Kind of see that as higher risk than just using the standard PulseChain bridge, right?
Yeah, agree. I always just use the standard PulseChain bridge, and I always sort of say as well, like the best way to do it is just literally just go pulsechain.com and then go to the bridge like through here, and it's just an extra click, but it just means that that you're getting the latest version. Like don't bookmark bridge, IPFS links and things like that because they can change. So you always want to get that most up to date one, and you can even get like this is an extension which tells me that it's purple when it's the most live, the latest version, and then if it's not, then it'll go gray. So that I think that's done by Poseidon. It's like a double check, I guess.
That buy thing might be a new feature. Maybe that's the reason for having it, because I've just gone to the main bridge website and that buy thing is not present there. So maybe that's the little ad that he's done on that site.
Yeah, I mean, more front ends, I guess, better. But I agree what Fast says. Yeah, there is an extra. You
more counterparty risk, right?
Yeah, contract risk, I guess, as well. You don't exactly know what you're connecting your wallet to, but as far as I know, Psy has always been a a good actor in the space. He's been super generous, giving out all the, those pins and things like that, and NFTs, and so.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
I
cool.
guess.
It is. We need some more new people friendly stuff like that. Like, it is intimidating to click on the mypinata.cloud link to get to the PulseChain bridge. Like, I questioned that a lot when I saw it the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this one is literally howtobuypulse.com.
Yeah.
So
solid.
I think there was a lot of prep work getting done in anticipation of the US coming down hard on DeFi front ends and things like that. It seems like they've done a 180 on that now. So
yeah,
the pressure might be off a little bit for now.
But
we
it's
could just put up a
future-proofing.
credit card link and call it a day.
But it's making it it's future-proofing it. It's making it censorship resistant. That's always been the tenets of Richard Hart products. So I'm still a fan, but it doesn't mean you can't have other front ends that it does introduce trust, I guess. So everyone
need that
has
credit card swipe though, like I think that'll be, maybe top of the bull market stuff, but like you should be able to just tap your credit card and move $400 onto PulseChain. Like there's got to be somewhere to do that.
Well, what about Change Now and that sort of stuff? They have limits though, don't they?
They do. A centralized exchange would fix that, and that's not something most people think about. But when you talk about Change Now or PortalX or things like that, they're running often, like in the past, they've run through the centralized exchange as part of the onboarding mechanism, right? They have an account set up, and they never admit that. You can ask them like what exchanges you're running through, they won't tell you, but like that's how they're doing it, right? So the limits that get lowered that we have right now are because we lost those centralized exchanges. So if we got like Kraken or one of the big ones, you'd see a Change Now limit go up to $10,000 or something like that.
That's exactly what happened with the Maxi dropping, because I was going back and forth between Solana, and the limits were great. You could do quite a few $1,000, and now it's like a couple $100 or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that sucks.
Not ideal.
Yeah,
you're better off going Solana, Ethereum, PulseChain, and vice versa, right? Like
that's right.
That's how I move things around.
What do you think, Money Gang? Sorry, Jackson, go ahead.
I was just going to, while you're on that topic, I was going to say, how is everyone like bridging in and out, and what's the best route in and out of PulseChain currently?
Just the bridge.
I just go the main bridge, Ethereum. Yeah, exchange.
Especially with cheap Ethereum, it's great.
Yeah. That's the way I do it, but I thought others were using BSC and a few others.
Nah.
If you're moving $200, maybe the math is different, right? But like, yeah, if you're moving $5,000, it's very hard to beat the Richard Hart bridge.
0% fees, man. Like, that's no joke.
In that direction, anyway. Yeah, on to the chain 0%.
Yeah. Well, I've got a diode effect going on at this point in the cycle. It's all one way, man.
Yeah. And there's a little 0%. Sometimes there's a little arbitrage there that covers the gas fees. Even like I'll often watch for like, oh, is ETH more expensive on PulseChain? And then like okay, now's the time. And then I buy ETH and on Ethereum and bridge it to PulseChain and then trade into Pulse when ETH is like whatever, it's like 3% higher, but it pays all the gas in a $5,000 transaction for sure.
Yeah, that is interesting to think about when you think, well, Pulse is cheap in ETH terms and things like that, or expensive in ETH. Yeah,
but it's the difference in price between the chains, right? Like if you can buy ETH for $1,850 on Ethereum, and then it's priced at $1,900 on PulseChain, and you can actually instant arbitrage as soon as you get it across the bridge. The same with EHEX. You can get, if EHEX is cheaper on Ethereum, you can buy it, bridge it, capitalize on the difference. There's a little bit of money to be made. It's not like it was in the beginning where there was tons, but there's still $50 on the table here and there.
Yeah.
Apparently Inc is up 8% today.
Yeah, everything's just gone on a little bit of a run just recently, just looking at the charts as I was coming on.
Yeah.
Had a few alerts going off. Nothing nothing earth shattering when you're down, when you've dropped 50% to go up 5%.
It's that there's a meme where it's got the guy pointing at the chart. It's like it's come down heaps and it's all red and there's this tiny green candle. It's easy to get that green candle in 8%, but it's still down like 20% from last week. But yeah, all in time, I think hopefully the interest rate cuts. So the way I see it is people have to price in, like for price to go up, they have to perceive that they're going to be able to sell it for more later than it's worth now. That's all it is. So then you need a future event to price in. So you have to say, okay, well, Trump's going to get inaugurated. So therefore, if I buy now, then they're going to be able to sell it, at a later stage or whatever. But we kind of ran out of future events. Like there was the strategic reserve, and then that was a fizzer because they just said, well, no, we're not going to buy like 1 million Bitcoin. We're just going to use, like, Money Gang said, just use the seized Bitcoin. So then everyone was like, okay, we'd priced in, all this buying, and it's not there. So now we need a future event for people to price in.
We've got it.
For price to go up.
Sailors onboarding Buffett as we speak.
Sailors onboarding who?
Warren Buffett.
Who? Buffett. Oh yeah, okay. Well, apparently, Berkshire Capital and those guys, he's got a lot of cash on the side. So, don't know. That's a hard sell. I mean, I think Peter Schiff was doing some things and making his own strategic reserve, which was basically just begging people to send him the coins. I'm just like, hopefully that's the bottom signal.
Was it Buffett that called it rat poison squared, or was that JP Morgan?
Yeah. That was one of them, yeah. If there was a way to short it, I would. That's the other way. The early days, it was like Bill Gates or something. So I was just going to say, Money Gang. So because you dabble in the Solana and some of the other chains and things as well, do you think that, because we've had like ETH BTC has been wrecked since the merge. And then so now, we saw Solana almost top out. This is in January. And then even if you look at the the Sol BTC ratio, that's also been wrecked. It's been going in a bit of a downtrend. So as much as people say that BTC has been going down, Sol's been going down against BTC even harder.
Yeah.
So do you think that this is like complacency and it's going to do an ETH and just continue this? Because the ETH BTC downtrend is like nothing I've ever seen. Like it's gone for like I have to zoom out to get this downtrend in. Do you think that Sol BTC or even just the Sol price could go on such an epic downtrend? Or do you think that this is just temporary?
I do think there's a couple of factors as to why it went down. Obviously, there was I think around the Javier Milei scam coin that happened. That really, like, I think that was the final straw for a lot of Solana degens. And the guy is actually on. They've issued a red notice for him for Interpol, Hayden, who was part of that project. But one of the biggest things was, so most of the degens on chain, they hop from chain to chain. So what happened was you saw like maximum withdrawals. If you had a look at like where the chain, where money had been flowing, it'd been flowing from Solana to Sonic specifically, because Sonic was starting to go through this like kind of pump phase. Load of projects were taken off. So you saw the biggest chain bridges were coming from Solana to Sonic. So I saw a lot of that, and then also I've seen it like go down. I do think it will reverse back because this is kind of typical of Solana. They'll dip down, like a load went to Tron, and then you saw the Sol BTC ratio go down, and then it went back up again. I don't think it will go as low as it did back in the 2023 bear run, 2022, 2023 bear run, if you have a look at the ratios. But it'd be interesting to see the ratios between, say, for example, Sol and Sonic and Sol and other things. But yeah, certainly it's in the effect.
Yeah, because I mean Sui as well. I think I used to look at the Sol Sui chart or Sui Sol, and there were periods where Sui was certainly outperforming, but it's almost like you have the flavor of the month chain. Like Sonic, I think now seems to be a bit in the zeitgeist at the moment. But I wonder if that's not just because KOLs are being paid. Like there's just like the Sonic guys may have an allocation. Like there's a foundation where they just pay KOLs to talk about it.
I'm sure they are.
Organic.
Well, Ansem started talking about it. He was one of the biggest KOLs on Solana. So yeah, he's definitely got a decent bag, I think, of Sonic.
Do you think the whole pump fund thing has been exhausted now though, and you won't be able to replicate that on the subsequent chains?
No, I do think that it's still a narrative, because it's just like a casino. Casinos never really get old. It's just there's it's like the dopamine spikes that it achieves. It is really, really addictive. And
do you think the curtain getting pulled back on the Libra and you had bloody, what's his name, Dave Portnoy coming in at the 11th hour, do you think all that just sort of pulled the curtain back a little bit and everyone went, holy shit, there's the 0.1% of people that are killing it, and that's where all the profits are going, and everyone else is just getting led to the slaughter?
Well, okay, how long did it take before it rugged? That's the real question, because a lot of people always say, oh, it got rugged and, you learned your lesson. But I've been in a few projects on Solana that I've made significant profits on before they rugged. So a coin that was quite popular was RTR, and the whole of Solana, all the KOLs on Solana were like, this is Donald Trump Jr.'s coin. And he's going to tweet about it later on. So the coin launched at 9 o'clock. It had over $1 million in liquidity. I think it went up to as high as 10 mil in liquidity. It had billions of dollars of volume on it for the first like 6 hours, and it was running up like crazy. So it had run up, and by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock that afternoon, it rugged. And the reason why it rugged was because Donald Trump Jr. And Eric Trump both put on Twitter that we're not associated with the coin, and then the liquidity got pulled, and then people were like dumping. So it's really weird, because when you're in those projects, I think I made 5 figures on that, maybe like $25,000, and that particular project was like, it was like, it seems completely legit. It's like, it's not like they're doing it on a small scale. It's not like, oh, the liquidity is only like 50K or 100K. It's like millions and millions of dollars of liquidity. So it seems completely legit. So there is a period of time.
When you talk about liquidity, that's the initial that was put up.
Yeah, initial was put up was like 1 mil, and then that expanded up to at least 10 or maybe 50 mil. I think I can't remember exactly the numbers, but it expanded up. And like people were going crazy, because it's like, okay, it's number one on Dex Screener. Loads of people were talking about it, and people running on the opportunity, like similar effect that the Trump coin had. If you guys remember that, literally all the, that was on an even bigger scale, because it was extracting from every single coin into that coin. It was like a black hole, basically, of sucking in the liquidity. Pause, no homo, and bring that in. So it's fascinating to see. There is always opportunity up until the rug. So that is the big thing, is like, if you're early enough, like even if you don't have the insider knowledge, but if you're early enough, like you can do some crazy X's. I think I put in maybe 2.5 to 3K when I got in that coin, and it went up to 25K, so maybe 10 to 50 next.
So my issue with that is, how many people are getting rinsed? Like, if you go into 20 of those, you're probably getting rinsed on bloody well over 50-60% of them, I would think. Probably more.
Some do. It depends when you get the information, right?
Yeah, that's
so.
The problem, man.
For example, the way it would work, the best way to describe it is the product will launch. Let's say there's rumors of it, and the coin will launch at, say, 9 o'clock in the morning, or it will launch whenever it is. The KOLs won't talk about it until 3 hours, 4 hours later. So there will be like the rumor of it, which has this speculation, and there's risk in that because it's just a rumor. Then the KOLs start talking about it, but smaller scale KOLs talk about it, and the bigger scale KOLs then talk about it, and then it just starts firing off in all these different groups. And then like Mario Narfel starts talking about it, right? And then it's like, so all of that gets passed out. So all of these people start coming in. They're like, oh, this is going on. There's an opportunity there. And then at that point, that's when it gets to its highest. That's when it gets to its peak. And the best way to kind of gauge it is you look at the top traders, and if they haven't made more than $1 million, then you're in the safe zone. If they've made more than $1 million, then that's when the rug's probably going to come at around 5 mil on top traders. Like, yeah, when it comes to, I'm talking specifically Solana here, but so it's pretty insane. Like being in it and like playing around on it is like, it's nuts. One of my good friends, he got in even earlier than me. We got on the same coin. His entry, he was at like 250K. He was able to take out, I think, 70, 80K in the end before the rug. But yeah, like it's really, really nuts. And I think I was probably at the top. I don't know, maybe I was a little bit later than him, but it was really just about who sniped it quick enough and who got in early enough.
That's my biggest issue with it. Like, that's not sustainable. Like, how many times can people keep going back to the casino and giving it all to the house? Like, you run out of, and I think that's what happened. Is we had a lot of people already in crypto that were willing to go across and degen over there and do that. Yeah, but you only do it so many times, and then you go, man, I can't stay up 24 hours a day every day.
Yeah, but you're a reasonable person, Jexer. You're underestimating the degeneracy. but I think you're underestimating the degeneracy.
$500 or $2,000 or $1,000, and you can go, I can put this on a casino chip, and that could make me 6 figures. Well, and people do that. It's like, okay, well, it's a bit different. That's big money for.
Whereas the percentage, the chance of that working out for you
very low
is very, very, very low.
No, agreed, completely low. But that's the opportunity.
And you're a pro too, Money Gang. Like, you know what to look for. You know how to dig for information. That kind of thing. It's not the same game for everybody else.
No, like a good example of this. Someone put up a tweet, and they're like, "Is the Phantom wallet on Dex Screen?" Okay, so that's who I'm competing with. Whereas my research, so this is how I would do it. Okay, let's say I hear that there's going to be a chain launch coin. Okay, so let's say I know that, for example, Binance are thinking about doing a meme coin, and there's someone behind it. Okay, some celebrity or whatever. I'm going to follow all of the top traders on some of the latest coins that have done really, really well on Binance. I'm going to insert all of their wallets into a tracking bot. I'm going to see what they're buying all the time, buying, selling, moving in and out of. So I have confirmation of when a coin does go live. Okay, I can see, I'm looking at the liquidity. I'm looking at whether this is a ticker, whether it's been announced. I'm maybe also having a tracking bot for the tweets. Let's say a celebrity like, I don't know, the Kanye West is likely to do a coin. So Kanye, I've got a tracking bot of when he tweets. So it notifies me every single time it tweets. I'm watching all of the top traders on many different coins on that ecosystem to see if they're aping their liquidity across, or, if someone's buying a little bit early. And the way it would work is, let's say there's a ticker, there's rumors of it being the one. I might chuck a small clip in, and then when it's kind of confirmed, you'll just start seeing everyone start aping. I'm chucking big amount at that point. But I'm playing against guys who don't do that. they're not following what the wallets are doing, or they're not tracking that kind of data,
And so, even a small amount, if it's early enough, because you might eat slippage. I mean, I think that's the problem. So there's this Hayden Davis guy that you guys talking about, who's that's also the villain from The Incredibles. He had kind of, when he did that interview with the Poitsoy, he had given almost the curtain got pulled back a little bit, that they not only had allocations and things like that, but they were all sniping the launch. So the initial block gets sniped, and people will pay. Like I think with the Trump coin, there was something like $80,000 in slippage or something was paid to getting that first block. So these guys are like, it's all bots, and they're just waiting to just, so then they can sort of put their hand on their heart and say, oh, but we didn't have an allocation. Yeah, but you sniped your own launch. And then once people figured that out, they were all upset that, hang on, this game is rigged, the casino is rigged. But I think that people have short memories, and if you underestimate people's stupidity, then you know you'll be making a mistake.
It's hard with, like, I understand on one aspect what they said is we'd rather snipe it than have someone else snipe it, because how do you launch a coin and avoid players coming in and soaking up 30% of the supply really early on and things like that? So I can,
you launch with low liquidity.
What they do after they snipe it. Yeah, it's what they do with the coins they snipe after they snipe it that matters, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks, Money Gang, for telling us about that your techniques, because I have, you know, there are a lot of ways you can track some of these wallets and things like that. So that is one way to do it. But you've got to be early for these things, otherwise there's almost no point.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating how crazy it can get, and how there's a whole group of guys who are just literal snipers who are, you know, all looking at doing this, and they're learning every day, and they're trying to get in on block one. There's guys who set up bots that only buy a tiny amount, and they buy every single token on every single chain and stuff. But you know, you think about it, if you put in like $5 or $1 or whatever into a really early one, you know, you could be talking thousands of dollars, and you do that enough times, there could be enough winners, right? If you're in like block one, and it's pretty nuts.
Well, we had that. There's a bot. Is it the PulseSonic bot for pump tires? And you can, you can just buy like every token that gets launched on that.
That's cool.
But yeah, you probably run out of funds pretty quick, and I'm not sure that you'll be in profit. So
you got to be careful in that, because there was a team that was launching just coin after coin, and they just needed to rug it for a small amount each time. So everyone would snipe it, then they'd rug it, snipe it, rug it. And it was just literally launching every few minutes.
So then you have to put in parameters. You have to put in parameters so that you blacklist certain deployers and things like that, so that you
it's a whole nother skill if you want to play that game, isn't it?
Yeah,
and you've got to go. Money Gangs just showed you got to find that edge, and you'll notice that I went to Dex Screener's Telegram the other day just to ask a question about how they measure a particular metric, and for the next week I'm getting messages from everyone because they think I'm launching a coin. So people are just trying to get that edge, and it's crazy.
You know, people will do, like, for example, they'll pay for like Quick Node. I'm going to give some secrets away. Quick Node for like a custom RPC on certain chains. So they're not that happens quite a bit. That will speed up the transaction real quick because you've got less, you know, your own validator. It's like that's an interesting way of doing it. There's like loads of different little techniques, and like you said, I mean, if I was getting in on a celebrity coin and I was trying to get in on block one, and I knew this is the game plan. Okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to look for new pairs on that chain. So I'm going on Telegram, and there is new pairs Telegram groups that just show you all the new pairs that come up every single minute or however long it takes for a new pair to come up. And I'm going to have a custom node. So I'm going to make sure that I have that on that particular chain. And then I'm going to set my slippage to like 50% or 49% to be exact. And I'm going to eat a load of slippage, and I'm going to get in on that block one, you know, as quickly as possible. And I'm going to pay a decent priority fee. And it's crazy. It's crazy, the results, because what people don't get is like, okay, maybe you lose, let's say you put a couple grand in and you lose $1,000 to slippage. The speed of getting in on that and the amount of tokens that you can get for being on block one is crazy, even versus block two or block three. It's just absolutely insane how much gains you can make just from that initial block. And if you don't believe me, just go look at different charts on the 1 minute or on the 1 second charts of any token that you've seen on PulseChain that's done well, and you'll just see the difference. It's pretty damn insane.
And it wouldn't cost you that much on PulseChain.
This is very.
Go ahead, 43.
I was going to say this is very interesting to me because you know, I think you'll find that everyone on this panel here, we're all very free market. We believe that people should have the ability to go and do whatever they like, you know, with their assets. But it's just interesting to hear that there's just so much goes into what you're talking about. You know, and I think about myself, and I'm the complete opposite. Like I don't want to click buttons, mate. I don't want to click buttons. I've you know, at any time I might need to take a kid, one of the many kids somewhere. So I just can't like be in a position where I need to be glued to my computer. And I think you know, for people out there who are listening to this and thinking I could do this, just you know, consider, you know, how much time you can spend in front of a computer, you know, keeping an eye on this stuff. Because I don't think it's for everyone. It might be for some people, but I don't think it's for everyone. People like myself that don't have the time to devote to it, you know, you could be setting yourself up, you know, for failure. But if you do have the time, then, you know, maybe Money Gang Crypto is the guy to be listening to. Hey.
Well, it's just one way of doing crypto, and it's actually it's more like, I would say it's the guys that had no money that were trying to make some sort of money. Like, and it was like, okay, what is the solution? How do we get a competitive advantage versus other people? Because I think people come to the realization that most charts do actually look fairly similar in terms of the way that they work. They have this crazy euphoria right at the beginning in the first couple of days, and that dies off. And this is also something that's interesting to talk about in terms of like, how does a coin sustain its pump, and what do people do? What is the market making that happens? I have really good conversations with guys, particularly like PulseX, for example, of, you know, how do you sustain a chart? Like, how do you do a PTGC? Like, why does a sacrifice project have a chart that looks like absolute dog shit? And then how does a project that is kind of grassroots, how does that do really, really well? And how do you do all of that? How do you market make? And this is some of the stuff that I think is becoming more and more mainstream and more educated. And it's great to see, because I think like people want good charts, right? When they want to buy a coin, they want to see it go up. They don't want to see it. They don't want to see their investment go down 50, 90%. It happens, but it's part of the, you know, there's winners and losers, but it's always interesting to see, like, so how can we make better? Yeah.
Is it about getting those coins into the hands of people that have a longer term mindset, maybe that aren't going to be selling like perma dumping, because that's part of.
He didn't expose something. He was too honest for his own good. But it was very interesting, that interview you saw with CoffeeZilla. And the reason why I say that is because if you don't think that some founders, like for example on the Melania token or on Trump token, there was a lot of insiders buying, you know, sniping their own coin and having multiple wallets buy it up and all of that kind of stuff and making profit from that. Now the question is there a way of doing this that is morally right? And it's the subject of morality. I don't like morality when it comes to crypto because it can be all over the place. But there are individuals, and I'm not going to say who, or we're just going to play some hypothetical scenarios. But what if there were good market makers? Okay, so they know that they have to market make their chart, and they know that there are going to be people who cheat and destroy the chart at certain price points or whatever. And sometimes you've got to get those people out because they don't actually believe in the project long term. But what if you were to say, for example, sell your coin at a high, drop the price down, control that drop, and then be able to relift it back up because you bought the coin early on alternative wallets because you sniped it yourself, and then you've taken that profit and then re-injected into the chart. Like, that market making really for the long-term holders is great. For the more short-term guys who don't really give a damn about it, they just want to make a quick 2-3x, flip it, whatever. It's not great for them, but it's like putting a benefit to the guys who want to believe in this long term. And this is something that some people will say, no, that's not morally right. It's not free market, you know. But there are snipers who are playing that. They're playing that game. They're wanting to flip 2-3x, and they don't give a damn about your chart as long as they make money off it. So it's a very interesting thing, because I have myself thought about, has Richard, which I think he has, and people are going to disagree with me on this, has he bought and sold the chart on alternative wallets and made tops and sold bottoms, you know, and moved bottoms up and made profits because he's been a very, very good market maker? Not in the sense, because a lot of people like to think that, yeah, he just injected money into the chart and that's it, and he's lost that money. It's like, well, would he take profits at certain periods and then re-inject it when it drops down to a low? You know, and you take it.
If it was a net buyer,
it doesn't sustain itself.
If he was a net buyer, for example, then
right, just a net buyer, but never a net seller. But sorry, net buyers is you're saying net buyers in like,
as in he can
overall,
still sell.
He's always buying, but he's selling.
So he may have put in more than he's taken out, but overall,
it matters how they take profits too, right? Like, you paint a giant red candle on the chart. This is not a good founder move, right? You LP some out on the way up and then reinsert it at the bottom. That's a good play.
Yeah. Although the only problem with LP and sometimes, or direct sales on the chart with like public wallets, for example, is that you also do lose conviction, because people are watching those wallets and they're going, hold on, he's got a sell wall. He doesn't even believe in this chart himself, you know?
Don't make a sell wall, right? Like, don't make like a thin line of V3 liquidity. Like, when I've done things with V3 liquidity with any token that I touch, I set like a 300%, 400%, 1,000% range, and it's supporting up and down until you pull it, and then you buy back your own token if it drops. Like, there's ways to do it, but like, yeah, if you make a 1% line where you have $50,000 that it has to break through to move up, then it's going to keep bouncing off that. That is bad for the price. I agree.
Because that was the crazy thing with the Hayden Libra coin. Yes. Not only did they snipe their own chart, right? Not only did they have multiple wallets doing that, and they dumped the price of it, but they made like tens of millions of dollars in liquidity. They were the ones providing liquidity and pulling liquidity.
On Meteora.
Oh, yeah.
Was that on Meteora?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly that. And so that was the argument, was like, hold on, why are you sniping your own chart if you're making like loads off of liquidity as well? Like, so it was nuts, absolutely insane.
Well, because they were going for maximum extraction, right? They even that those DMs got leaked, and they actually said, yeah, they were going for max extract. So that was the kind of like dirt bags that were exposed. But
do you think that wasn't isolated to that one token? Like, that's
no, it's just Hayden was being honest about it, because I don't think he wanted to get killed.
Yeah, so that's why I sort of come back to that first question I asked you, was, do you think with all that getting exposed, and with Dave Portnoy and all those guys coming in, because Dave Portnoy made a pretty bad decision and the team paid him back as well. Like, it just showed that there wasn't a level playing field, and there was guys that were getting priority treatment. Like, he'd done his shirt. He should have just had to wear that shit. But position of influence.
Because a lot of the traders on Solana won't even understand that. Like, they won't even understand how they're making money from liquidity, for example. Like, okay, I'll give you a pure example of this. There was a trending meme coin on Solana. It was only trending in the like 4-hour period. So I bought some up, and I thought, you know what? I can see there's one liquidity pool here, and it's I think it was like a 1% pool. So I might as well go for the max one, which was a 4% pool, and I'll chuck in that liquidity. There's nothing there apart from this main liquidity pool, which was like 60K or 100K or whatever. So I might as well chuck in a few grand into this liquidity. I was killing it on fees, absolutely killing it on fees, because they just don't understand it. They just don't get that side of things. It's like, oh, they just know buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. So I don't know if a lot of people actually know how they get in, apart from getting dumped on I don't think they even know that side of things unless they've been in the game for a while. And you know, will it carry on? Probably. They just will say they'll probably just go, well, celebrity meme coins are dead matter because you'll just get dumped on. But there's always the gamble, you know. So there's always the roll of the dice where it's like maybe
short memories, man. Short memories. I'm telling you, people like they'll be, you know, butthurt for a while, and then like what happened, like you were saying, they moved to Tron for a while with the, and then maybe PulseChain, maybe Sonic, but eventually I think maybe they'll come back and we'll see that mania again. I'd like to hope that you would see a more sensible investor, but I just don't have that much faith. Like I think there's too much like gambling in the industry,
and it's too complicated for them. Like a lot of people don't want to learn all of that stuff. One of the benefits I think of this ecosystem is that there is sufficient like education on that side of things, right? Like liquidity and providing liquidity and how to make money from that and all of that kind of stuff. And that gets updated day by day. So people are learning more and more. But there is almost like a vacuum of lack of understanding on many different other chains. This is why I'm actually pretty bullish on Ethereum as well. Because Ethereum, like on Uniswap, they've just launched Uniswap v4, which has these pools where you can choose the percentage you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be 1%. It doesn't have to be 0.5%. You can choose whatever percentage you want for a pool. So people could be paying 5-6% for a transaction. It's like insane, actually. It's very interesting. V4, Uniswap V4.
Okay.
What's your take on the given that you're playing on a few different chains?
Yeah.
Are you seeing the kind of stuff that we're doing on PulseChain with all the liquidity webs? Are you seeing any of that happen on other chains?
No, not really. And it could work because every single time they've used tax tokens, specifically tax tokens, it's always been an extraction tool. So none of them have you market made the fees. And this is why I think it's genius and why it's really working on our chain is because the fees have always been a money grab.
They've always been a Ponzi. It's always been a Ponzi grab, hasn't it? Yep,
that's right.
And I think that's the bit that for me that was the big change. Is I used to hate the reflection coins, and because you could just see the way they were all going to play out. Early guys come in right off the back of everyone coming in wave 2 and 3, and then it collapses. But now that we're doing smarter things with the fees that are being generated, that's the game changer. And I think it makes sense to have that built into your token now.
I think the low fees on PulseChain change the game a bit for tax tokens, right? Because you can make these liquidity webs. You could have bot interaction because the swap fee was so low. The amount of pulse you need is so low in dollars anyway, that it made the tax tokens have a new life they probably wouldn't have if they stayed on something like Ethereum.
Yeah, because it created almost not fake volume, but like volume that the ARBs could just jump in and out of, and you know, it just, even if it's a couple dollars or whatever, it's, you know, as long as they make a little bit of profit from one ARB to another or something, it's and then it's great to see that it's building up. So one of the biggest issues I think that a lot of people were like, oh, we don't want to sacrifice for another project. We're kind of fed up of any like pre-sale or ICO kind of rounds. But the tax tokens have been able to create some sort of income as per se, a treasury, and build that up and be able to then use and deploy it. And also it's taking kind of the staking narrative, because a lot of these tax tokens, they have like 1% that goes directly to the users, whereby you're getting more of a certain token that you like for holding the token. So it's using the similar principles as staking, not exactly because you're not locking it up, but it's using a similar, that if you hold, you'll get more, you know, and the price will go up. And that's partially, I mean, people are used to it from Hex as well. So they're like, oh, okay, I get this. I understand this. So what has been working really well so far.
You mentioned PTGC, the Grace currency.
Yeah.
It has been doing really, really well. And like, as far as the tax tokens and probably any of the tokens really, it's sort of been like a beacon, I guess, because it's been doing so well. But this is on the weekly, and even if I put it in pulse terms, it actually looks like it's sort of breaking down a little bit. I mean, it's closed below the 20-week moving average there. I wonder, do you think that this has still got legs, or what's your thoughts on this? The grays.
I think PTGC still has legs, but mainly based off of whatever performance that Pulse does, because whatever they have in the treasury right now, I think it's over 6 figures. It might be even more than that. They're not going to deploy it when the price of Pulse is at its lowest, or price of those correlating tickers are at its lowest. So, personally, I do think it's still got legs, but the guy to really speak to about that is probably someone like PulseX. He's the guy who loves PTGC, and he's really into it and stuff. Wow. I think what they're trying to achieve. So there's a calculator that they have. Let me see if I can find the website.
Okay, okay. I'll just quickly say, so it closed below the 20-week moving average in dollar terms. Sure. It looks like it might be bouncing off the 20-week moving average in pulse terms. So I would look for that as just something to see if it closes below this. I don't know if you guys can see that. But also, how about this Hex Dilly? I just saw this in the background. I was like, oh, it's already in the time that it took me to swap charts. Wow. It's already been getting sold down. But
how many percent is it? Like 1% or?
Yeah. This is the sort of zoom right in, and I don't know, 17%. Yeah. That's a decent move. Just while we were streaming, mind you.
Yeah.
So then maybe people liked
probably because we were streaming. I would imagine. That's the reason. As far as
let's take credit for it. I mean, the other reason is I noticed in the chat, shout out to the chat, people talking about the blood moon. If this is what we're getting from blood moons, I mean,
it's by the news, I guess.
Look, the funny thing about this blood moon stuff is that it's like, you get the correlation is not causation, but even when it's not correlated, they're still claiming that it's got something to do with the moon. Like the crash was a few weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago, maybe. Certainly not today. So I'm not sure how they're still claiming that the blood moon.
Well, do you think market makers do stuff around those things because so many people speculate on it?
Oh, for sure.
Look, I don't think it's supernatural. I think, like you say, someone thinks that someone else believes in it, so then they try and front run them. But then if they front run it too much, then what happens like 2 weeks before the moon, and then it retraces the move on the actual event. So at what point is it just getting silly?
I don't know. I think humans just love making up good stories.
Yeah, people like narratives, and people like to price in. So this is what I was saying before. Like literally, price is just a function of whether people can price in future events, either good or bad. And for some reason, people perceive maybe this blood moon as being bad, so they tried to front run it, and we saw a bit of so we just need more future events to look forward to, whether they're ideally they're bullish, and people can price those in, like rate cuts and things like that. So you don't actually have to have the rate cut itself. You just have to have the promise of it. Although that's hard with the way that they work, because the Fed won't actually give much information out until they actually do it.
Do you think we'll get like an absolute curveball in 7 days and they just go, right, we're going to do a rate cut? Because I know the prediction right now is like 98% chance that it's just going to be held rates. But, where Jerome just goes, yeah, stuff it.
It's interesting. The thing that I think about is like, to what degree is the Federal Reserve controlled by the Trump administration? Like, if at all, or are they in direct opposition? Because they seem to be. It's like Trump is saying we need to cut rates, and it's almost like you've got this deep state, unelected Federal Reserve, which are kind of saying, well, maybe we will, maybe we won't, but they're almost like they're trying to crash the markets a bit.
Yeah, that's almost the only tool they've got. They've got the fiscal tool to be able to try and change that. So they've got to apply it on their end if they want the market to do something. So yeah, they're opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, maybe Trump realizes this, and he's going to have to sweeten the deal, because I know if nothing else, he's a consummate businessman, and it's like he might say, I'm going to introduce these tariffs and things like that, and then everyone balks, and then they say, okay, well, how about we don't put these tariffs in? I'll concede that, but now I want something for it. So hopefully there's a bit of back channels going on where they can get the rates cut.
I think that's obvious, isn't it? That's all this tariff talk is all about, isn't it?
It's all the negotiation tactic. For sure.
Yeah, you can't see through that. Like I look at the mainstream media, and they're, especially in Australia, they're going off the deep end at the moment about Trump putting taxes on our steel and aluminium. And like you can just see straight through it, but I don't know whether they're just using the fear to get more viewers or what. I don't know. Like, surely they can't be that bloody dumb. Maybe they can. I don't know.
Never underestimate people's stupidity, bro. This is a tactic that's been working so far. Control through fear. And now they just, they push the panic button and they say, oh, tariff, trade war, and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, some of us can see through it a little bit.
The funniest part, and I'll get Abdul's take on this, was when China decided to put 100% tariff on Canada or something like that. Like, I was like, where did that come from?
Zero connection. We should be on the same side with China on this one.
Exactly.
But again, it's posturing, right? Like Trump's threatening all these. Trump's like vaguely threatening to take over Canada. Right, like he keeps calling it the 51st state and so on and so forth, which I can tell you is not going to fly with any Canadian. There is no push to become American, but it's like posturing. Then he's going to come in and make a deal, and probably something will be slightly worse for us and slightly better for him, but it's going to look a lot better than whatever 50% tariffs that he was previously proposing. And then and even if there is no deal, even if it's just like, okay, back to status quo. Free trade was working. Let's keep doing that. The market will pump on the news, and he knows that, right? Like he understands those things if he doesn't understand anything else.
Yep, agreed.
What's interesting, I mean, in terms of the meetings this year, there's a few more. Obviously, there's one in a few days' time. It doesn't look likely there's going to be a rate cut, and then the next one doesn't look too likely. But June and July, June 17th, and then July 29th. Is high likelihood that there's going to be a rate cut, and there's a moderate chance that there will be one in September as well. So there could be 3 rate cuts. Again, this is coming back to this idea that the next quarter is probably going to be when you start to see more stimulus in the economy. But that's something that I'm looking at, and I'm going, okay, when are those rate cuts? Because the Bank of England usually follows suit with the Fed. So usually if the Fed does like a rate cut of say like 50 basis points, then we do like 25, but we went a bit quicker than them. So last time that they had a meetup, they did a rate cut. So I'm looking at that and I'm going, citing this idea that there could be a later bull run. It's like, well, okay, things are starting to line up. Like, is there going to be a rate cut possibly towards June, July, September? How much of an effect will that have, and will that get forced sooner in April? That's something that I keep tabs on, because
so the bull market isn't over then.
I've always thought that. If the interest rate is 4.5%, right? Like that to me is like it's pretty big. It's very difficult to take out any form of credit lines at that mark. People are struggling to pay bills, so once you get that credit line down and it becomes cheap for credit, usually you see a correlation between the M2 and the Bitcoin price, and that go up.
I think you're on the.
But China, on the other hand, they're printing like crazy. They don't give a damn. They're printing like crazy over there. It's insane.
Their chart's gone vertical, hasn't it?
That's right.
I did see that. Yeah. So what do you think the lag is? Like, so there's some people that sort of say that, I think it's this Colin Talks crypto guy. He had a couple of ideas when it comes to like the M2, and then with like a 75 or 105 day shift, that you might actually see prices start to follow the M2, but with a lag. So, or do you think maybe we're just finding correlation or finding correlation where there is none? But I kind of think that it is about the liquidity. So I'm still bullish. I'm still thinking 4-year cycle, November is where it's going to be kicking off. So, but I guess we'll find out.
And hasn't gold just done a new all-time high as well? Which
it would be up there. Yeah,
people getting off risk on assets.
Yeah. So I mean,
when there's like recession fears, typically gold goes up, and there's a lot more people.
Wasn't Bitcoin supposed to be the hedge against that as well? Then where's that going?
The thing that does concern me is the S&P 500.
Yeah.
You've got to say. I mean, we want the DXY to be going down, and that's what we're seeing. Strengthen the US dollar.
That's a bit blurry for me. What's that? Is that at 104? Is it?
Yeah. It was around 104. Yeah. So, but the S&P 500, that's breaking on the weekly. So, does anyone know? Is the idea that the strength of the US dollar goes down, and that people? I've always heard that this is bullish. Are they expecting the S&P 500 to like do a decent crash and then they have to print? Is that the idea? So they're sort of, as a result of the S&P 500 crashing, then they print, but then there's like this lag as well. So it seems like we're in a bit of a dangerous zone where, like, have we already had the crash, or is the stock market, because that's quite a big move. Maybe not. But for stocks, it's 7%. But if you go from the weekly close of that, it's 9%, 9.3. So does that constitute a crash in stock market terms?
I think it can get worse before it gets better still.
Yeah, because that's the 50-week moving average. It's just closed below. Oh no, it hasn't closed yet.
So what was interesting? Well, I get with the DXY with the US dollar dropping like it did, you would have thought Bitcoin would have been priced in the US dollar would have gone up relative to it, but it didn't over that period, which was, I don't know what it says, but it was interesting to see it work like that.
Yeah, exactly. What I always thought was when the Dixie goes down, S&P 500 goes up, but they both crashed. And this is a pretty terrible looking chart for the S&P 500. I mean, it's closed below this is the daily, the 200-day moving average, and it just kept going.
The S&P, like when it comes to the S&P, I think they get more concerned when it's more above like 10% or towards 20% is kind of the threshold for a bear market. And the unemployment rate at the moment is pretty good if it's below 4%. I think it's at 2. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I think they would get more concerned if the unemployment's above 4 and the S&P is down 10% plus. That might
it's just sitting on 10% now.
So if you're laying off a lot of government positions, surely unemployment's got to rise.
Let me find the.
They've got to go.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're 100% right.
Yeah,
that's how
they've got to go from a transition. If you get those people off, they've got to find alternative work. So I'm sure it'll all work out, but there'll be that lag between them finishing their picketing in the streets and going out and finding a job.
So, but isn't this how the Trump administration forces the hand of the Fed to cut rates?
Exactly what I'm saying. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So they cut the government. They make it more efficient. They cut the government workers. Unemployment goes up. The inflation is down. So then it's like, well, there's no reason for these rates to be so high.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
And unemployment's at 4.1%, just gone up from 4% in Feb. Could be higher.
Yeah.
and that would be a lagging indicator as well. So
yes. That'll be interesting to see.
Could we see an early rate cut? That's the thing. It's like maybe not this particular meetup in 5 days, but like there's a one in month after that in May, beginning of May. I think it's like the 6th or the 7th. So then that could force an early cut.
I mean, it could even be this one coming up. Like I know the market's, like you say, 90% priced in that they're going to hold, but a lot has happened in the last couple of weeks with the markets, and we'll see.
Can you imagine if they do a rate cut? I don't know what the markets would do. To be honest, I don't know how it act.
Hopefully, it's the V-shaped recovery that we're looking for. But yeah, I guess if we can get ETH BTC out of the doldrums, then I think Pulse is going to start to perform, and then it's just everything's leverage on ETH, it looks like. So, but yeah.
Don't forget the SAC
waiting.
Yes, SAC Daddy down 50%. But if you ever feel bad, just go have a look at what BlackRock's holdings are down by, because I think it's like $5.1 billion.
Holy moly!
From January or something like that.
That's from the Ethereum ETF, is it?
No, it's just what they own. If you go
the total assets under management or something.
Yeah, they're down like 5 billion since the beginning of January. So, but their unit accumulation's gone up. I put something up as a bit of a status. So, whenever you feel bad, just have a look at the big boys, and you're like, oh, okay, my few grand losses or a few $100 grand losses, right. Not as bad as few bill.
I say that quite often. The bigger your bag gets, the bigger dips you've got to sit through. So you want all these gains, and you're gonna have to get.
I have one question for you three guys that are still here. I think True Blue may have disappeared, so I can probably take him down. But so what do you guys think about these ETFs that we've had BlackRock with the BTC and ETH, but there's definitely the Solana, XRP. I think there's a Litecoin ETF. There's probably going to be a Dogecoin ETF. There might even be like a top 10 crypto by market cap ETF. Like, I think they're just going to keep doing these ETFs. So how do you think that's going to affect the market?
I don't know if I'll believe it till I see them, right? There's only a Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF that are for sure. The other ones seem somewhat speculative to me, especially when you start stretching into like Dogecoin and stuff like that. Probably it'll happen, but will it happen in a timely fashion? Will it be even this cycle? I don't think we can say 100%.
Well, but Grayscale has put in applications, right, for a lot of these ETFs.
Yeah.
And so the SEC, if the current administration with the SEC seem to be more conducive to crypto and sort of dropping all the cases and things, maybe they're going to start approving some of these altcoin ETFs. Is a speculation.
But how much does it cost to put in an application, right? Like, what if I just wanted crypto to go up in general? How could I do that for cheap? I know, I'll just put in a whole bunch of applications. And it doesn't mean they have to act on it if it's approved, right?
Well, they do have a final deadline, though. So the SEC has to hit that final deadline. And if you look at when Bitcoin ETFs got approved, it was around that final deadline, usually at the final deadline.
But that's the SEC's deadline, not BlackRock's deadline, right?
I think BlackRock sort of forced the deadline on the Bitcoin and ETFs. If I think they needed everything in a certain, needed them to be in a position where they could be the drivers of that. So they weren't really pushing it, but when they got themselves into a position, that got approved pretty quickly.
Right.
Interesting.
Maybe BlackRock is the SEC now, as far as I know.
They certainly probably got their hands all over it.
I was actually having this chat with another fellow the other day, and I think you're going to have two very different types of market participants because of the ETFs. So at the moment, we've got a very limited number of them, and I don't think they've filtered out to your mum and dad financial advisors. So financial advisors have a particular set of products that they can put in front of someone that comes and sits with them, and that's based on whether you want high, medium, or low risk. And those financial advisors promote products that get them a trail. So they were never inclined to direct someone to go buy crypto because there's no trail in that for them. But now there will be. So you're going to have a class of investors coming because their financial advisors now saying, oh, you know what, you probably should get a little bit of this in your portfolio. It looks like it's going to be the next big thing. BlackRock's on it, Trump's on it. So they'll come in, but they're not going to be the kind of people that rotate into shitcoins. So you've got the other side of the market that, yeah, hopefully we benefit off of all these inflows and it floats the whole market up. And it's the crypto native guys that will do the rotations when they've got enough growth in their primary holdings. So it's going to be interesting to see how those sort of two sides of the market play out.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because you think in terms of the ETFs, like if there's pension funds or whatever that can't invest in certain things, they can only invest in, I think, assets that generate yield and things like that. So then it's like maybe with the Ethereum staking as well, the changes to the Ethereum ETF, hopefully that will bring some more inflows for Ethereum. But yeah, I guess, we just have to wait and see. In the meantime,
and that will severely affect. It would be beneficial for the ETF and the ETF providers because of the fact of the changes that will happen in April, I believe, with the upgrade. Because obviously they're going from 32 ETH to validate to 2048 ETH, I think it is, minimum requirement, or maybe more than that.
Oh, this is the Pectra upgrade?
Yeah. So one of the key components is that you have to have, I think it's 2048 Ethereum.
No, it's what it is. You've got you can set a variable amount, so you can you don't have to carve it up into lots of 32. You could put in a larger bulk, is my understanding.
No, it's a minimum of it cannot be 32 anymore. They're making it on a larger scale. Yeah,
that doesn't sound right.
I mean,
I thought they were trying to get it down I thought they were trying to get it to a 1 ETH minimum and a 2,000.
No, they're making it more centralized.
Okay,
I'll go back and look.
Maybe I'm wrong here.
I could be wrong as well. I've only had a brief look at it. But,
yeah, let us know if you know in the chat for sure. Otherwise, we'll have to DYOR.
It would seem like a very strange move to centralize it more.
So this Pectra upgrade.
Just give me. I am wrong on this. I think here the upgrade allows those with more than 32 to consolidate their stake into single asset validator,
which I think is a good thing.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's for institutions and stuff like that. That could bring in money to ETH on a big scale for ETFs and stuff. That's perfect if they're doing staked ETH ETFs.
I think they will. I think they're going to approve it. And so they've just put the Pectra upgrade, I think, on the testnet on Sepolia, however you pronounce it. But I think there were some minor bugs, and then they fixed it, and so it's looking good. So hopefully that gets deployed to mainnet, and it'd be interesting to see whether PulseChain takes on those changes, because we didn't follow with the proto dank sharding.
And I think we would have to do that before we went to Pectra as well.
And I don't think RH is a fan of it either. So
Pectra is good because I think that brings in the account abstraction stuff as well, which is pretty handy.
Yeah, the wallet, the smart wallet stuff is cool.
The account abstraction, I was always thinking like maybe this would also, I don't know, have some sort of less price negative effect, because the validators possibly will also get paid in other stuff like USDC and other and stable coins rather than.
I see. So they're not always selling ETH for gas. They're selling whatever the asset is to do the swap or the send. Yeah, I think that's the way it should be. I mean, I must admit, when I first started with crypto, and I was just like, wait a minute, you've got to have a separate amount of gas just to send things. Like, why haven't they sorted this shit out yet? Surely there's a better way. And then slowly but surely. So maybe we're still early. I don't know.
But you're still spending the gas. It's just abstracted away.
Yeah, but for some users, if they don't have Ethereum, they can get bricks.
Oh, from a user perspective,
they'd be like, oh shit, now I don't have enough gas to do my transaction, and then they've got to go through the whole exchange thing again. I was just wondering, do you guys know with Phantom Wallet, because that seems to settle super quick, whether they're doing some sort of buffer with or pool or with those transactions, and then they're doing it on chain? Because sometimes if you go on Phantom and it's just like bam, it's just instant swap, and you're thinking, hang on a tick. And then
Solana's fast. Like if it's working, it's fast. So could it just be?
But if you go to SolScan and then it's like pending and it's doing all this other stuff in the background, and you're like, you do still have to wait for it the transaction to be approved if you look at it on chain. But from the Phantom's point of view, it's like it's done. So you're thinking, hang on, how can they say it's done if the transaction hasn't actually been confirmed on chain?
Maybe just the blockchain explorer is slower. Like your internet connection's slower than the chain.
Not sure, man. I reckon Phantom's doing something. But anyway, that's
good question to ask AI.
I think they might just be confirming before they're actually getting the proper confirmation, and then they although for them to do that, they would almost have to back the transaction. So
that'd be pretty risky. If someone found out they were doing that, it would be very risky.
Anyway, that's my speculation for the day. We've got 684 viewers, so that has smashed our all-time high. Thanks so much, Money Gang Crypto, for coming on. Fast Abdul,
appreciate
Jex, we had Mayo, we had 43, we had True Blue, we had a whole mixed bag today. So thanks everyone for coming on. Do you guys have any things you want to say before we wrap this up? Maybe fast. Do you want to go clockwise?
Sure, let's do it. I think everybody who's watching right now should like and subscribe, because it's always at least this much fun to show up for DeFi Down Under. So press the like button.
100%.
Press the subscribe button. Turn on your notifications. It's worth it. And I'd be regretful if I didn't mention that my ink printer protocol will be launching on Tuesday next week. So a new stablecoin for PulseChain that uses ink as collateral, gives you a de facto single-sided staking option for ink, because you can turn it into a stablecoin and stake it. You can always get your ink back by paying off your loan. So check it out.
Awesome. And can we find you just on X? Fast Abdul, pretty easy to find you.
I'm found on X as my name is spelled on the screen here. And
awesome.
You can also check out inkprinter.com. Only the test version is up, test.inkprinter.com. But on Tuesday, the full website and the full protocol will be available.
And of course, 2fucks.io.
2fucks.io. Yeah, we'll have many yield farming options for you.
Yeah, awesome, man. Awesome. Money Gang Crypto, what about yourself, mate? Where can we find you?
Just all over Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, what else? Instagram, Money Gang Crypto. That's it.
Awesome. And Jexa, how about yourself, mate?
Yeah, whilst we're here doing shameless promotions, I might as well put one in for Vouch as well. So a few new people here watching today probably. So Vouch.run is liquid staking on PulseChain. So if you want to get your share of the PulseChain's yield, go check out vouch.run. But yeah, more importantly, thanks for you guys coming on as well. It's always good to have fresh faces on here.
Awesome.
And a bit of different chats.
Yeah, much appreciated, guys. Yeah, thanks heaps. Thanks, Money Gang, for your insights and stuff. That was awesome. And Fast Abdul, of course. Yeah, thanks, chat. Thanks, Replay Gang. And we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers, guys.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks, chat. Have a good weekend.